Hi, I want to show you how to make bobbers floats. This is how I start mine. I usually end up with a couple of champagne corks, or you can get a bit of surfboard polystyrene. Now to get the corks into a normal size, you need a glass of water, and you just place them in like that with a little weight on them, whatever you want to do. I even add a third one in there, the weight will send them down. And the idea is to have them into the water like that, let them soak overnight, and they will swell up as such. Then all you need to do is grab one, come forward up to the drill, turn the drill on. That's just a 1/8 hole, and what I use is bamboo skewers. The reason why I use bamboo is it doesn't break. I use a product called Bondcrete, and this is waterproof when it dries. I just put that in there like that and squeeze, grab the skewer, point it in, push it in all the way through. A little bit tight because I haven't drilled it out neater. I'll pull it out and re-drill it if I can get it out. Up to about where I want it to sit for my top of my float, which is about there. And I just put a little smear just around the back and that, and let that cure. It takes about a couple of hours just for curing, but to save time, I've already done one, and as you can see it's still got the pointed end on it, so I'll get my trusty old side cutters and cut that off. Now this is the trick. I didn't know how to spin them to make it easier. So what I did was I got a bit of timber, and I put a hose clip, as you can see there on there, screwed it on. Then I got another piece of timber to make the stand and a hole through there, which you'll see in a minute. Now because this is so light, I put a weight on there. And of course my drill doesn't have an adjustable speed set on it. What I've done is used a loom tie or a cable tie on there to hold the trigger in position. So now we'll just put the drill into position. And I'll lock that up by just adjusting the hose clip, like so. Put one end into the drill. Just hand tight it. And of course I've got this in line. That'll go into that hole there like so. And that's the way I've made my lathe to spin to do my corks. I'll just put this into power now. And switch on. I'll use a file. We've had an accident. I put a little bit too much pressure on that and it broke. So we'll spin this other one up. I use a bit of emery cloth now to get this one down into shape. It's a lot quicker with polystyrene than it is with the cork. Right now, I've just put a finish on it. There we are, that's it in shape. Now we just cut the point off there because we don't want a pointing end. And I'll just use the file to give that a little bit of a, and the other end too. Now if we want to use this as a running float, what we do is we get a couple of safety pins. Now what I do is I always pinch that end there where the pointy piece is, because when you cut that off like that, there's no pointy piece floating around in that body of that I've cut off. With a pair of long nose pliers, squeeze that a bit tighter together and bend it up. Now what I usually do is get a bit of binding cloth, which in my case is just a length of surplus braid that I've got. Put that in through there. and just bind that off there like that. Give it a bit of a tug for neatness. Like so. Trim that piece off. Doesn't make a difference, only for binding and holding it. Then just using an eyepiece. Just lay that into the, it'll never go the way you want it when you want it to. So the idea is now you just overbind that. Put that into there. And pull it through. Trim it off. Things will never cut when you want them to cut. Now that is bound on. And then what I get is a piece of strip lead. And I cut a fine piece off. And this is the start of the balance weight for the float. I cut that at an angle, and the reason for that is, as you'll see in a minute, is when you put it on the float shaft, it will lay. And we just do the same again on this end. Right. I'll just make one up for the eye flap for the top with my old trusty bobby pins. And that's safety pins, not bobby pins. Again, pinching the eye so it doesn't get loose and stick in your feet. Cut. Close it up a bit because it's just too big. Pinch it and turn it. This one's a bit easier because you can use the cork to hold it in position. More fingers than thumbs. I suppose you could use something like shrink tape. Or maybe a pair of I'll just cut a piece of this off for the pull through. Never happens when you want it to. Again, just push it up through there. I suppose you could use something like a glue gun just to put it in position. But by wetting it allows the thread, you hope. We just trim that off. It's out of alignment, so all we do is just rotate them so that they're now in line. And the process from here on is just to push it back down to paint. I have a green stamp, and what I've done now to make life easier when I hang them out to dry is I get some old clothes pegs and just put a 1/8 hole through there. That'll sit on there, and you can just run that through the eye of the peg and hang them. As you can see, I've got others made here. And I have another way of holding the floats is without a running float, and you want to make it a fixed float, I use vacuum tube, automotive vacuum tube, and all you need then is to trim that off, just wet it. That slides up there, and that one slides there. So that way you have a fixed float, and the other one is a running float. Now, to make the colour on the top, this is a little bit damp, but I'll just show you. I use bright nail varnish. I just paint it with that. And you can paint the thread again. By painting the thread, it locks the thread. Normally what I've done is let this dry a lot faster, but because I'm making the video for you, see how easy they are to make. Some people would say it's cheaper to go and buy a float, but it's like everything else. It's a personal satisfaction. Now, had the float been dry on the bottom, which is not, as you can see, I've got paint on my fingers, and that's my running float made out of a champagne cork.